The first thing we're going to talk about is the outside of the fish, the external anatomy of the fish. Fish are all covered with a stuff called mucus. It is clear, it's a liquid, and it's really thick and slippery. Mucus is the same kind of stuff you have up your nose when you have a cold. That's mucus, but mucus does an important job for the fish. It makes it a lot easier for the fish to glide through the water so it doesn't have to work so hard when it's swimming. Mucus is also great protection for the fish. Because the whole fish is covered with mucus, and mucus is slippery, it makes it tougher for predators to be able to grab hold and catch that fish to try and eat it. So mucus helps the fish to swim more easily. Mucus helps to protect the fish by making it hard to catch. Mucus also protects the fish from germs and parasites. The blanket of mucus covers up the whole fish. So if there's a germ in the water trying to swim around and make this fish sick, before the germ can touch the fish, it's going to run into that mucus. And the fish is always making new mucus and kind of pushing it out away. So the idea is that that new mucus will push the germ away from the fish so the fish can stay healthy. Another thing we see on the outside of the fish are the fins. Each fin on the fish has a name. This fin right here is called the dorsal fin. Dorsal is a science word that means near the backbone, and this fin is closest to the fish's backbone. This fin here is the biggest fin on the fish. Some people call this the tail fin, but the scientific name for this fin is the caudal fin. This fin in between these two fins is called the adipose fin. Adipose is a science word that means fatty tissue. The adipose fin is really special in salmon. Most kinds of fish don't have this fin at all. We use this fin to help tell the difference between a wild salmon that grew up in the river by itself or a hatchery salmon that had people take care of it when it was young. We want to know the difference between a wild fish and a hatchery fish so that we can protect our wild fish. A wild salmon growing up on its own, it has to get out of the eggshell by itself. It has to learn how to swim by itself. It has to learn how to find food by itself, and it has to learn how to escape predators all on its own because salmon don't have parents to teach them what to do. Hatchery fish, they have people taking care of them 7 days a week. They have people that feed them. They have people that protect them from predators. And in a hatchery, if the fish get sick, the fish doctor comes and prescribes medicine to keep them healthy. So life in a hatchery for salmon is really pretty easy for them. So they get an early good start in life, and that's why our fishing laws are different for hatchery fish and wild fish. Okay, going around on the outside of the fish, this fin is called the anal fin. A-N-A-L is how you spell anal. And if you look at these two fins, they're both kind of triangle shaped. The next fins I want to show you, they come in sets. So there's a set of fins here. These fins are called the pelvic fins. And there's a set of fins up here. These are called the pectoral fins. The other thing I want to show you on the fish is a body opening that is unique to fish. It's called the vent. You can find the vent on the middle line of the fish, right in front of the anal fin. Here's the vent. Fish also have special sensory organs that you can see on the outside of the fish. For example, fish need to see where they're going and to find their food, so fish have eyes. Fish also smell. On salmon, those organs are called nares or nostrils. There's a nare or nostril on either side of the fish. This is a little opening where water comes in and they can smell the water. When we want to smell something, we take a deep breath in through our nose and we can smell the air. Salmon don't smell the air. Salmon need to smell the water. So the water goes inside this little hole. They smell the water, and the water comes right back out again. For salmon, the way they smell the water is not at all connected to how they breathe. Salmon have another important sensory organ, something really cool that we humans don't have. It's called the lateral line. The lateral line, you can see on the side of a salmon. It's a special line where there's a break in the pattern of the scales. The lateral line, there's one on each side of the salmon, and the lateral line is really important for helping the salmon to feel what's going on in the water around it. Imagine that you are a little salmon, and it's a cloudy day, or maybe it's nighttime approaching midnight, and it's really, really dark. If you're a little salmon and you kind of feel something moving in the water next to you, it's going to be really important for you to know, is that a little fish swimming by that I might want for a midnight snack? Or is that a big fish predator come to eat me and I need to escape? So that lateral line is really important for helping the salmon to feel what's going on in the water when they can't see. We brought two fish to show you today. One is a male and the other one is a female. Male is a science word for boy, and female is a science word for girl. Take a look carefully at these two fish and see if you can figure out which one is the male and which one is the female. Okay, so we've got a male fish and a female fish you're looking at. Now we're going to look at the key differences to tell the difference between male and female salmon at the spawner stage. When salmon are young and they first hatch out of the egg, even a salmon expert, even a fish biologist can't tell the difference. They look the same from the outside. It's not until they get to this stage of their life cycle, the spawner stage, where the males and females start to look really different. And here's the clues to look for. This fish is a female. I can tell that this fish is a female by looking for certain clues. I look at the shape of her body. If you look at this fish, she's really wide from side to side, especially along her belly. That's because this fish is a female full of eggs. If you look at this fish side to side, he's pretty skinny and his sides are straight up and down, not round and full because there's no eggs in there. This is a male. Another clue that I look for as a fish biologist to tell the difference between male and female salmon is I look at the shape of the face. If you look carefully at this fish, between the eye and the tip of the snout, it's kind of short. If I take the same distance and move over to the male fish and measure his eye to the tip of his snout, whoop, it's way longer. The male fish have a long snout, and it usually grows and curves down like this. This long snout is called a kype, and only the male salmon grow a kype.
So it sounds like a salmon's life is really hard. How do they protect themselves?
A salmon's life is tough, and that's why their families are so big. Not all the salmon eggs are going to survive to grow up, but salmon do have some great adaptations. Salmon are strong, fast swimmers, so they can just kind of run away from predators. Hearing and using their lateral lines helps salmon to hear predators coming before they're close enough to catch the salmon. Salmon are covered with mucus, so they're slippery and hard to grab hold of. Salmon have eyeballs that can work independently so they can look all around them watching out for predators. And salmon also have really good camouflage. When salmon are young and living in rivers, their camouflage is kind of green and brown, kind of like we think of camouflage, because that helps them hide in streams. But when salmon go to the ocean, the light conditions are different, so they change camouflage to hide from predators. In the ocean, salmon are really dark colored, almost black on top, and that provides them good camouflage from predators looking down on them, like sharks or birds. But then their bellies are white and silvery, and that protects them from predators from below looking up, trying to see them. So salmon do have some tricks to help them survive.
How does a salmon change from freshwater and saltwater?
That's a great question because there are very few different kinds of fishes that can change from freshwater to saltwater. The change happens kind of slowly over time, and that's why the habitat of the estuary is really important. The estuary is the area between freshwater rivers and the ocean where freshwater and saltwater mix slowly. So the salmon, they might migrate quickly out of the rivers, but then they kind of hang out in the estuary. That gives their bodies time to change and adjust. One of the things that they have to do is they have to change how they regulate salt. And that function in the salmon's body is done with their kidneys, but also with their gills. It allows them to change from fresh water to salt water. There's a special word for fish that can move from fresh water to salt water. The science term for that is anadromous. There are some fish that start out in salt water and go to fresh water, and those fish are catadromous.